Hey, what's up? This is gonna be my first episode of Csgo Weekly recap, and this will basically be go through all the teams, or more like all the games that have been played this week, and I'm gonna give you the results and my thoughts on the game. Maybe not specifically, but what this entails for the team that played the game. This week I'm gonna be mainly focusing on the start of the ESL Pro League Season 4. Just because I was only really able to follow most of those games, and I wasn't really able to keep up with any of the other games that was going on at the time. So basically, I'm gonna go off and basically start off by starting the beginning of the week of the ESL Pro League, and I'm gonna be list off how each team did and whatever. So the first matchup to open up the season was FaZe Clan versus Team X. Obviously, you would expect that FaZe Clan, even with the premiere of their new player Arlu, of course, replacing him for Fox, you expect FaZe Clan to be a team to be able to easily beat a team like Team X, who really haven't legitified themselves to be a team that can beat solid teams like FaZe Clan. In these matches, there was a game on Train that seemed kind of competitive with Team X was kind of able to stay with FaZe Clan, but the next map was a blowout on Mirage, and it just seemed like they got outplayed in that map. They didn't really know what they were doing on that map. It seemed like Team X, they couldn't stop FaZe Clan really, so that's wasn't really too surprising. But it was definitely a very good start for FaZe Clan in ESL Pro League Season 4. The next map, the one more like the next match to be played from the European side would be Virtus Pro versus Ninjas in Pajamas. The two games played on that. Interestingly, the first game was played on Nuke. NIP being a team that was famous for being really good in the old Nuke. I was actually a bit surprised that this is the first time they've actually played it since the map was released. Virtus Pro, on the other hand, I've already played it once actually in the major, but they did get crushed by SK on it. So the only time they played it, they lost. And the first pro didn't look like they could really match up to Ninjas in Pajamas. Ninjas in Pajamas seemed like they knew how to play the map, and they just kind of outplayed Virtus Pro in it. And it's kind of interesting to see if maybe this is going to be a map for NIP in the future, because they were so good on it. When on old Nuke, and it does still have that same core lineup that was good on it. Interesting enough, this was the first game that Disco Doplin, a player filling in for the player Pith on NIP, was going to be playing for them, and he performed very well in this game. I think was one of the top fragers in the match. So it's definitely good. And so far this week, he did perform pretty well, playing really well against some of those top tier teams they didn't really have much experience playing against. And the next map was on Overpass, a map that NIP didn't really fancy too much. So you should expect VP, a team that is known to be pretty good in this map, to crush a team like NIP, who really does not seem like a team to play the map that well. But this game did end up going into overtime. It ended in a 19-17 score line. VP up, winning that one. But it's just really surprising how good of a fight NIP put up, and it makes you wonder if this was NIP playing good on the map, or maybe Virtus Pro just being a little bit sluggish coming out of the gate to start the season, even though coming off that big E-League win. Okay, and I'm going to talk about the North American teams and the first Premier Week matches on the game. The first matches of the week for North America. The opener for the North America was Cloud9 versus Liquid, which is obviously going to be a very interesting series, because teams are kind of like rival teams of each other. Usually have pretty good games against each other. This is also interesting enough. It was the first games that Liquid will be playing with the new player Pimp, and it was also the first games that Cloud9 are going to be playing with their player Automatic. So both teams kind of had a new player coming into it. The first map was on Cobble, a map that Liquid are known to be very good at and be able to beat really good teams on. But surprisingly enough, to everybody's surprise, I'm sure Cloud9 were able to pretty handily beat them on that map, which is really surprising because, in my opinion, Liquid is one of the better Cobble teams in the world, really. They were when they had Simple, at least during the major. It looked like they really were able to play the map very well. And a team like Cloud9 Cobble is one of their better maps, but it's just most people, they're not really supposed to be playing on a level Liquid is in the map. I think Pimp didn't do too well this game. I think Automatic on the Cloud9, the new player for them, were doing very well. And then the next map went on to play Dust 2, a map that Liquid was known to be pretty good on before the major anyway. Also one of the Cloud9's main maps. And before this series started, if I thought Cloud9 was going to be able to take a map of Liquid, it would have to be on Dust 2. And they did end up winning the map 16-10, just because it seemed like Liquid just really didn't seem like they were playing to like the Liquid that came second in the major. They just the team play didn't seem too good. It seemed like the only kind of tactic was to play aggressive every single round, just trying to give all out aggression on the CT side. And the T side wasn't really working that well either, to be honest. They were able to string a couple of rounds together on their I think on their CT side, but then when they come back on T side, they really weren't able to put anything together. So it's a surprise to most. They ended up losing the series 2-0 to Cloud9. Liquid being a team that a lot of people expected to be probably one of the best North American teams in this, but definitely a very strong start for the Cloud9 guys, being able to beat a team like Liquid. Next match for North America was Optic versus Complexity, and this was this kind of blowout. Complexity had no match to Optic. It really didn't at all. Like, they could not compete with them. So they just got blown out 16-4 on Mirage, no contest. Same on Strain, 16-6. There's no signs of life from Complexity. Completely got destroyed by Optic Gaming, to no one's surprise, I'm sure. The next day, on Thursday, the European games were played first in the morning, and excuse me, the first matchup would be NIP versus Team X. NIP played Cobblestone first map versus Team X, and this map ended up being a 16-14 win for NIP. A very close game. Team X put up a good fight, but then weren't really able to match up to NIP. And just a disclaimer, I was not able to watch a lot of these European matches, or a lot of matches this week in general. So I'm not going to be going too in depth on the game. I'll just give my opinion on what this means for the team. For Team X being, well, first off, let's say the second map. The second map was on Overpass. I think this was Team X's pick. Nip ended up dominating them 16-8 on that map, looking pretty good, to be honest, but you can't really take much away because it was Team X, and you can't really take too much away from that, just because that's not a team that Nip should be having trouble beating. For Nip, it definitely does look like a pretty good start for them, actually, starting off winning 3 out of 4 opening matches. Definitely gets them, I'm sure, gives them a bunch of confidence going into the further season. On the other hand, Team X going 0-4 to start the season definitely can't be too good for them. It's definitely gonna be a big confidence loss for them, just because just because they don't really, as a new team, they definitely need those wins to really build confidence up and be a team that can contend. Next match of the day on Thursday was FaZe Clan versus Virtus Pro. This was one I'm sure everybody expected VP to come out and beat FaZe Clan. I'm sure some people actually did think FaZe Clan might have had a chance of pulling up an upset on a map, but this actually happened that FaZe Clan won Train 16-8, and Train being a map that Virtus Pro happens to be very good on, very good as a team on. Not many teams can match up to them on Train, And the FaZe Clan team that I really don't think has the best train map. I don't think train is one of the main maps that they're good at. Being able to beat a good map, like a good team like First Try on it, is definitely concerning for the VP side. I don't think this was necessarily FaZe playing very well. Well, granted, they did play well, but I think this was partially Verse Pro just not playing well, and just kind of like the Verse Pro that a lot of people know them as the team not to perform very well online. Well, maybe not that, but just them be able to perform a lot better on LAN than they are able to perform online. And then the next map happened to be on Mirage, one of the FaZe Clan's best maps. And then this map is kind of rolled over VP on. No, not much contention in this map. It was 16-5. Again, very surprising that FaZe Clan was able to beat them so handedly to start the season. Definitely, it was a very promising start for FaZe Clan, 4-0 to start the season. And that it makes you kind of think this might be a team that can contend for one that's contend against other teams this season. Moving on to the North American matches of that day. This opening match was Cloud9 versus Immortals. And like the Liquid game, a lot of people will expect Immortals to be able to beat a team like Cloud9. But like Liquid game, Cloud9 was able to win both of those matches, surprisingly to most. I just didn't actually manage to catch these two matches. Like on Cobblestone, there really wasn't any contention until later on in the game. Like I think they had Cloud9 had like a 13-0 start against them. Really, this Immortals came out the gate really flat. Granted, being their first game playing with the new player Zeus, but I don't really think that a team like Immortals with so much skill and talent and has had a lot of success recently should come out that flat against Cloud9. It should have at least been a close game, if anything, but no, it was a 16-5 domination by Cloud9. The next match was a little bit closer. The ending scoreline anyway was really close, 16-14. This map definitely looked better from Immortals. Well, the game kind of seemed like a sloppy game in general. Like both teams seemed like they gave stuff up that they shouldn't have. But so I wouldn't take too much out of this map. I think this was just the fact that they're not used to playing the map. Well, both teams aren't really used to playing a map with the new player. Maybe it has something to do with it. This map, Cloud9 had control of this map pretty much the whole game until the end, where Immortals kind of managed to come back, starting to string together a lot of rounds. But Cloud9 did manage to pull it through, to win 16-14. Let me talk about this for a second. So this is definitely a very good start from the Cloud9 team, just because they're already beating two of the best teams in the ESL Pro League. For the North American side, they definitely already beat them. So it's like, okay, now they gotta be like now they definitely set themselves up to place very well in the end of the league, just because they've already beat two teams that definitely have the potential to be able to beat Cloud9, beat them. The next match of the day was Echo Fox versus Team Liquid. Echo Fox, this map ended very surprisingly, where Echo Fox was able to beat them on both maps. First map being on Dust 2. I'm pretty sure this was Echo Fox's pick. Yeah, it was Echo Fox's pick. I managed to watch a little bit of this match, but Liquid should not be losing to Echo Fox on Dust 2. Liquid has so much skill. They really shouldn't be losing teams like Echo Fox, who, well, granted, Echo Fox, they do have a lot of talent, and this is their best map. It shouldn't be 16-10 a win by Echo Fox. It should be a lot closer if they were to win the map, but Liquid definitely should have been able to take this one. Next map was on Nuke. This is a map that Liquid has been playing a lot recently. Like, Liquid has shown they have been willing to play this map like a lot. Like they've showed that they want to play this map, and if they play this map, they have a pretty good record on it. I think maybe only losing like one game besides this game. Echo Fox, on the other hand, is also a team that is really willing to play Nuke. Nuke is one of the maps they play a lot. Or at least they did play a lot in the Premier level and a couple times during E-League. But that said, I think Liquid got off to a good start in this map. getting a pretty decent lead. And Echo Fox managed to bring their way back on T side. Granted, even on T side, I think too. So that's just kind of not very good. Looking good for Liquid. Liquid coming out with a very slow start to the season, starting out 0-4, but it's definitely not over for them because they do have a lot of skill on the team. And on the other side, Echo Fox, very good start to the season for them, starting out 2-0 against a good team like Liquid. Let me see here. The next day, well, I should say on Saturday, the early morning matches were the most anticipated match of the week. Widely was going to be Na'Vi versus G2, mainly because the first game that Simple is going to be playing with them. Personally, I was not able to catch this match, sadly, even though I really did want to see it, because I didn't wake up at this time, so it's kind of sad. That's why I missed it. But it seemed like close games. Na'Vi being able to beat them on G2 and Dust 2, which is actually pretty surprising, mainly because that's not one of Na'Vi's best main maps, and Dust 2 being G2's one of their best maps. Very surprising that Na'Vi was able to beat them on that, because G2 is such a good team on the map, and they are playing with a new player like Simple. I thought maybe that this game series would be like a 2-0 GT side, just because they just added a player like Simple, and G2 being one of the best teams in the world. The next map was on Train. And Train is kind of like Navi's one of their best maps. This is definitely one of their best maps, and G2, I don't think it is one of their best maps in general. I think it's one of their average maps that they can win on, I think. So winning if there was a map in this series, I think Na'Vi would have the best chance of winning. I would say it was on this map, and they did end up winning 16-11. It's definitely a very good start for the season from Na'Vi. Very interesting that they were able to win both games against a team like G2 with a new player, even though granted Simple is one of the better players in the world, and it does match up on that scale. It's just very good for Na'Vi that they start out so strong as such a good team. Excuse me. Next up was Team X versus Astralis, a Danish matchup. So this is a Danish matchup. It's kind of obvious that Astralis definitely does have the better players in every way. This Astralis should be winning these games. In every way, they should be winning these games against Team X. First map was on Overpass. I presume this was Strauss's pick, because that is one of the best maps, and they're known as being one of the best in the world on this map. Even so, they weren't able to beat a Team X, which is really surprising. Even though the Strauss, I think, have been in a bit of a slump recently, getting knocked out E-League, of course. Before that, the major, they finished top 8 and knocked out, but you can't really count that because they had 2 players missing, playing with 2 stand-ins. And also, before that, they got knocked out of really early in group stages at ECS finals. So this is a team I do consider to be in a kind of a slump recently. But even so, they should not be losing to Team X, just because they are the better Danish team, known as the best Danish team. So they shouldn't be losing maps to Team X, just because they do have so many better players than the players of Team X. The next map was played on Train. This again was another 16-13 loss for Astralis, which really this can't happen. This is a really concerning start for them. But on the other hand, this is a very good win for Team X to be able to pick up, even if it was not really. What's the word? It wasn't really a win that they should have been picking up, but it definitely is very good for them to see them winning matches like this. So that's definitely very concerning for Astralis, but on the other hand, it's definitely very good for Team X to be able to win maps, win this 2-0 Astralis after losing the first 4 games. Okay. the next two matches for the European side were FaZe Clan versus Team Envious. FaZe Clan starting off the season very well, I think. Yeah. FaZe Clan won the first 4 matches, I do believe, right? Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, they beat Verse Pro twice. That's right. My bad. Okay, so FaZe Clan starting out very well. Envious, not a team that has been winning a lot recently because they have been known to be kind of in sort of a slump of recent, getting knocked out of groups in the major. And just before a little bit before that, really ever since they picked up Devil, they have been in a bit of a slump. But that said, they still did manage to outplay FaZe on Cash. Cash being a map that Envious plays very well on. Surprisingly, this map, Devil was I think one of the top fragger of the map, performing very well in some clutch situations. Definitely a good first map for Envious. But FaZe was able to bounce back, picking up the second map on Mirage. I assume their map picks. They do play that map very well. They beat Envious 16-10 on it. Which means this starts FaZe Clan's season very well. They start off 5-1 in Pro League, which is definitely a very good achievement for them. That was all the matches played that day on the European side. So let's go back over to the North American side. First match I'm going to talk about is Selfless Gaming versus Immortals. This was no, that's not it. I'm sorry. The first match was Selfless. That's weird. It's like kind of glitched. It didn't really tell me who they played. It's kind of weird. Well, basically, Selfless played on Saturday, and they lost the first map 16-13. Oh, I remember who they played. They played Echo Fox, correct? Yes, I do believe they played Echo Fox. Yeah, they played Echo Fox, I'm pretty sure, on this, and they lost 16-13 to them on Best 2, which really isn't surprising. Echo Fox, that being one of Echo Fox's best maps. And then the next game was on Mirage, losing 16-14, very close game on Mirage to them. So this is not really a surprise to me. I thought Echo Fox would be able to beat Selfless just because I do think they have a better team than Selfless. So definitely continues now that Echo Fox started the season 4-0, which is definitely a very good confidence booster for that team. Not having much success in the past. Definitely a good start for them for Pro League. Selfless, on the other hand, a team I expected to finish towards the bottom of the league. So not too surprising that they ended up losing this match. And I don't think it will affect the outcome either way. Next match was Immortals versus Complexity. Immortals starting off the season rough, losing to Cloud9 2-0. First match went well for them untrained, them being over the 16-7 Complexity. Definitely looked, before I even go into this, they should not be losing to a team like Complexity. It's definitely just not something that should happen. Complexity not being a team that really should have the ability to beat good teams like Immortals. Because Immortals is widely thought to be a top 10 team in the world. But that is exactly what happened. They lost 16-12 on Cash to Complexity, which is just really sad. They should not be losing to Complexity. And definitely is a concerning start for Immortals. Them starting the season 1-3. Because this is a team that is seen to be a top 10 team in the world, and they shouldn't be losing teams like that. The next match of the day was Liquid versus Optic Gaming. This was a very important match for Liquid to win because they don't want to start the season 0-6. If they would have lost both these games, which they were able to sweep Optic, winning both of those games. The first game being on Mirage, completely dominated Optic Gaming on Mirage 16-13, which is just they dominated them. Optic Gaming really wasn't able to get anything going on that map. And the next map being played on Cobble. Oh, I forgot to mention this. This was the first the first games that Optic played with the new player Tarek. So interesting to see how they were going to do with Tarek being widely thought to be a very good player in the North American scene. So he definitely can bring a lot to Optic Gaming. So this was definitely a very good. So they really want to come out strong and start their first couple come out to a strong start with their new player. So the first map was not a very good game for them at all, losing 16-13 on their map pick, I'm pretty sure. The next game was played on Cobbled, and this end result was 22-20. So a double overtime match, I believe that is. Liquid coming out on top. Again, very concerning for a team like Liquid having to go overtime against Optic. Because this is especially on Cobblestone, because Cobblestone is supposed to be one of their best maps, and a map that they are definitely one of the best in North America on. So playing Optic that close on that map like that, it really should not happen. They should be able to beat Optic on that map pretty easily. If not easily, they should definitely just be able to beat them, not going into overtime. So definitely, but still, that said, definitely still definitely a very important wins for Liquid. Because it really is not good going 0-6 to start Pro League, so it's definitely very good for them. So them ending this week 1, 2-4, not the best they could have hoped for, definitely, but it's not the worst thing that could have happened, obviously. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about today's matches, in the first matches starting out on the European side. To start off the match, it was Team X versus Hellraisers. First map on Nuke was pretty close. I'm pretty sure Hellraisers is a team that has played Nuke a couple times. Team X hasn't, I don't think, have played Team X as a team ever. So, I mean, you can't really expect Team X to be able to beat Hellraisers on a map they've never really played together, I'm sure. But it was very close. 16-14 going in favor of Hellraisers. Another a team in Pro League not expected to do good, really don't have a lot of skill on that team. They definitely is kind of a team that is expected to finish towards the bottom of the league. They haven't really came into much success ever since they lost their player Oscar, their best player. But I guess it's a good win to start off the season for them. Quick right after that, they lost the map. They lost 16-6 on Cobblestone. Which is against Team X, which really isn't good. But it would have definitely been really helpful for a team like Hellraisers not really having much success recently. The 2-0 Team X, a team that has been having a little bit of a success so far in Pro League, beating Astralis. But they ended up losing that map pretty handily, 16-6. Then again, both these teams are not teams I expect to do well throughout the majority of Pro League. The next match was Astralis versus Navi. Navi being the team that was able to take out G2 this opening day. And Navi was able to pretty much crush Astralis on both maps, 16-7, 16-6. This game wasn't close at all. The Astralis just never really got into it at all. Really, to start the game, they just never got into it. They never really found like a string of rounds or anything like that to really be able to give the fans any really hope for this season so far. So far to start the season, they're 0-4, losing the first two games they lost, losing to a team that no one expected them to lose to. And now they're losing Navi by big fashion. Definitely is not looking good for Astralis. Next match of the day is an interesting one. FaZe Clan versus G2. FaZe Clan was able to win both these matches 16-12, which this justifies their start to Pro League to be really quite amazing. Being able to beat really top teams like this consistently now. They've been beating Virtus Pro, them beating Team X, not really a top team, but still a good win, and them being able to take 1-1 out of VS. But this, for me, really makes me think that this could be a very successful team going on through the season, just because they were able to beat G2, one of the best teams in the world, on two maps, Cache and Overpass. Cache being a map that G2 have been known to be very good on, and also Overpass, another map that they could beat really good teams on. FaZe Clan, if I did expect in this, coming to this, I thought if they're going to win a map, it was going to be on Cache, because FaZe Clan is pretty good on Cache also. But still, I didn't expect them to be able to beat G2 in both maps, especially Overpass, because Overpass is a map I don't think FaZe really especially is very good on. One of their average maps, I think. And they were able to beat them with 16-12 on that. Again, this is very surprising. Very good start for FaZe Clan, starting off the season 7-1. Opened up week 1. So this FaZe Clan team could be a very strong contender going forward. And on the other hand, G2 being a team expected to play very well during this season. Starting out 0-4, but granted, they still do have a lot of season left, and definitely they play some two of the tougher teams in the league. So to start the matches, opening up the matches. Going on, the next for the North American region on Sunday today. The day started out Selfless versus Immortals. First map being on Cobble. This was a complete blowout, 16-1. Selfless game, we didn't win a round until the pistol round on the second half. So by then it was way too late, and then they ended up getting ecoed the very next round. Well, not really ecoed, force pied on. This got destroyed the next round. So that was definitely a very bad start for them. So that opens up the season 0-3, and then the next map they didn't get much more out of it, losing 16-8. But on the other hand, very good wins for Immortals, because they did drop map to a team like Complexity, where I do put on equal scale to Selfless Gaming, definitely. So they were able to come out and dominate Selfless Gaming in these two maps, which is definitely very good for them. Them starting out Pro League now 3-3 is not the worst thing that could have happened. Not that bad as a record that opened up week 1. Next match was Echo Fox versus E United. Echo Fox, a team 4-0 to start PSL Pro League, which is very promising. E United, a team that didn't have much expectations coming into this, not really having the best players. So most people, including myself, thought that Echo Fox would be able to beat E United, which they were in 2-0 fashion. 16-7 on Mirage, 16-8 on Overpass. Not really much to talk about on these matches, really. But besides saying this, that Echo Fox started out the season very well, 6-0 at the time, with leading Pro League. And to the next match up between Cloud9 and Optic Gaming. Optic Gaming starting out the season 2-0, beating Complexity, and then losing in close fashion one game against Liquid, and then getting blown out one game against Liquid. So starting out the season 2-2. Cloud9, on the other hand, starting out the season 4-0, beating two very good teams in two maps each. So the first map on Train was a blowout, same scoreline as Mirage, Optic Gaming versus Liquid, 16-3. But so Cloud9 basically outplayed this team. They had a 12-3 first half, and then managed to string together 4 rounds the next half to close it out. This was, I believe, Optic Gaming's map pick, so not looking too good from them to start out that game. But the next game definitely was closer. They showed some contention against Cloud9 on Cache, being a map that Cloud9's pick. But it still didn't look too good, being that StewHK and Skadoodle, two of the star players from Cloud9, both didn't have a good performance, and then they're still able to pull out a win, a 16-12 win against Optic. Definitely not looking good for Optic now. Ever since they picked up Tarek, they definitely have dropped 0-4, and they haven't really been playing the best games besides that one game on Cobblestone, which I think was more of Liquid not performing well than Optic playing well, if that makes any sense. So that's going to conclude this episode of the Csgo Weekly Recap. The next Csgo Weekly Recap will be going out on Sunday. This one is going to be going up on Monday, just because I wanted to be able to fit in the Sunday day games in today. But next episode will be coming out on Sunday next week. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.